Are you here?
Yes. For the second time.
For the second time. But for our audience, welcome to Brave New Explorations. This is the first of many recordings we're going to be doing with great people just like you out there who haven't told their story. And so I hope you get a lot of this video. We're recording with an iPhone, sitting on a tripod, in a Bernahale. No, what do you call it? After school place. This is where we're doing it.
I love this art behind us. It's so colorful and joyful. It's really matching a topic I want to talk about. So.
And these were actually made by 5 and 6 year olds.
Oh, lovely.
Amazing, huh?
Truly.
So tell me something.
Yes, so we already had a conversation before, right? When I told you about how I changed from my back then office job, changing a career to healing work and all that. And I really wanted to have another conversation with you about inner journeying and ayahuasca and plant medicines and also some galactic cosmic connections as well. And now last Saturday I had the chance to have an inner journey with a plant medicine, and it was such a beautiful experience that I just would have loved us to talk about it and share.
Yes. And I was really glad, when I saw your message. I thought, all right, she's done ayahuasca. Now we have something in common.
Exactly.
And I've also, on my birthday, at the end of March, I did ayahuasca again for the 6th time. And it was absolutely amazing. I don't know if I told you anything about it. Did I?
You did, yes. Okay. Yes, we met in Think, and then you went a bit more into details about what you've seen and experienced. Okay. I loved it a lot, and I was like, I want to try this too and get back together with you and just talk about our experience.
So tell me, what is it that made you think, okay, now I'm going to go do ayahuasca? What was like your theme? Did you have a theme? Did you have something you wanted to get out of it or something you wanted to look at?
Yes, actually I've been wanting to do it for quite some time. Like the mother medicine was really calling me, and now I'm gonna go back to Bali, one of my favorite places on this earth, and I just wanted to see if I get any insights and messages before I actually hit the road. And I didn't really know what to expect, but I was just really surrendering to whatever will come through, and I was in a really good mood. So also when I got the dose from the modern shaman, I was just smiling. I'm like, okay, whatever is gonna happen is gonna be great. And also one of my soul sisters reminded me that there is so much love out there in the universe. I was just really going in with some trust, and so I was just smiling as I drank it, and of course my mind first wanted me out, and it's like, I don't know what's gonna happen, I will be out of control, this is gonna be ugly, and why are we doing this anyway? And I'm like, yeah, it's okay, darling, we're gonna have a fantastic journey. And the music they played as well in this place was really helping to go fully within, and in that critical moment when my mind was spinning out of control, that this is not gonna be good, she started singing, one of the facilitators, and she has this beautiful angelic voice, and that was just really calling me. It felt like it was calling me home. So that was such a beautiful, important moment when my mind just really stepped aside and was on board with me going on this journey. And it was so fantastic. I was telling my mind, we're going back to the stars, we're going home. And so I was just there. And it felt so amazing. It felt like I was all the way back into source consciousness, and I was just super happy.
Well, what does that mean? Like, somebody out there who's listening to this, who's never even tried any of these things before,
yes,
maybe thinking, well, what the hell is ayahuasca? And what's this about source consciousness? And what is that like,
Yeah,
I could guess what that's like.
That's right. So yeah, ayahuasca and plant medicine journeys. So we get DMT, right? That's also naturally produced by your brain, but the medicine itself is really enhancing that in our brain, and kind of we are going home to our true essence. So if we believe that we have a soul and we are energy streams and soul streams, experiencing ourselves in a physical body and in a matter and in a 3D world that is Mother Earth, then that's what I mean by going home, like really reconnecting with my own heart and this source energy that where we really just kind of come from. Do you have any better way to explain?
No, but I'm just thinking how, I could, how if you have a certain experience, then as human beings, we're always relating our experience to another's,
Right.
or if we hear something that sounds familiar, like kids, if they've never heard a word, in
Right.
English before, or in another language, they try to make it sound, they try to find a word that sounds like their word and they think that's the word, right?
True.
So I didn't want to do that. I wanted to find out, well, what is that like for you? Like, what's the experience of feeling like you came home?
What it was like for me is that I felt incredibly joyful. Like I was just so freaking happy. It was just like joy was just blinking there in my consciousness. I was like super duper overjoyed. I felt like I'm this ball of light and bundle of joy, and I'm like this pure child. It was really a fantastic feeling. I just could not stop laughing. I'm like, I can't believe like this is my true essence. Like this is how I am at my core, and what I find that this is how we all are at our core. So when we want to connect back to our inner child, which is like so pure and innocent and really this love and light, how people always say, oh, we are from light and we are from love, and I was like, yeah, it's true. I really got to experience it from by myself, that how it feels to be really connected with this amazing joy. And I had to laugh so much. I had to laugh that, oh my goodness, like I'm this energy, consciousness, and everything. My life here is a dream. I thought it was hilarious that I had a body. I was like, what? I have arms. I really had to laugh about it, that I have body.
Could you
and
see
I
your
chose
arms?
to be.
You didn't have like mindfolds or anything?
Yeah, we had blindfolds, but it was very interesting because I could see myself from the outside. Like I was having the experience, and I could also like see myself.
Yeah.
And also I remember everything I was saying and thinking and feeling. So it was really multidimensional.
Wow.
It was fantastic. So I thought like it's just such a fun thing to be a human on this planet, and also that somebody said my name Liya, and it just really cracked me open as well to laugh, like, Liya? Like, what, is that my name? Oh, I have a name. And then I thought it was so hilarious that I was thirsty and I wanted to drink water, and that I had to go and pee. Like everything was just so like new, like as if it was the first time that I experienced that I have a body, or from that perspective of energy consciousness, it was just wonderful that, oh, I chose to be a human on this planet. This is great, and this is a dream. And what was also really insightful is that I could see myself like this shining light and full of joy, and I could see my fears around me. I could see the darkness around me and my fears, and they were so
How
small.
could you see your fears?
It
like
was
what? Did you see the words of your fears, or did you? How do you see your fears?
Yeah, that's how to describe that. It was in a way visual, like when you also see patterns and frequencies and sacred geometry. But I could just sense and feel that they were around me. Like whatever fears I have as a human of, I'm not gonna make it, or I will not have enough money, or whatever. I could see that my fears were just there and they were so small. I just had to laugh at them, like, oh, you guys are so funny. You can touch me because I'm like so vast and expansive, and I'm this light and this joy, and there you are watching me, but you don't have any power over me. So that was a very interesting experience that I always want to remember and reconnect with every time I get insecure about something in my life. And another super interesting insight was that uh, when I started worrying about it, that I might bother the other travelers in the room with all this laughter and talking, then I felt that I was becoming small, that I was dimming my light, and that made me go into pain, and I felt so sad about it, and I could feel this pain in my heart, that every time I was not allowed as a child in this life to express this joy and to laugh and talk because maybe it was bothering my parents or my surroundings, then I was becoming small and I was dimming my light, and that was so painful. And also I felt now that I just have to allow myself to shine this light and to really talk and bring this joy, because that's such a medicine for me and for others as well, and for this whole world, if I may say that, because this is how we are guiding each other back home. This is how we remind each other that this is our true essence and our core, like this super pure joy and bliss, what others call it, bliss. So that was very interesting, this dynamic, that when I thought that I just have to keep quiet or tone down or dim my light, then I became small and my fears were like growing above me, and they were like, now we got you. And then I was like, hey, I have a choice. Like my teacher also talks many times about this, that we always have a choice. And I was like, I have a choice. I can expand back and shine my lights again and be happy. And then all my fears were like becoming really small again, and they couldn't touch me. So that was again something really important for me to see. And so
I just want to add something there.
please.
Not only did you see it though,
Yeah.
you had an experience of it, right?
Yes.
Like sometimes when I'm telling people about what I saw,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
but
yeah.
but you know, I've had great insights doing other things too,
Yeah.
you know. So it was not just so much of what I saw and what I experienced, but it was more like I felt it
Exactly.
deeply. It was
so
like
deeply.
it was more than just thinking about it. It was
Yeah.
all in at once,
Yeah.
everything and
Yeah.
deep.
Yeah. That's so true, and I totally encourage everyone to try and go for a plant medicine journey, because your own experience is something that is the most valuable, and then you will really understand, yeah, what we are trying to share about here. So so
This
that was
yeah, you said you had something else to say. Do you remember that?
um about this, yeah, that this dynamic of having a choice, if I go back to my true essence and I shine my light, or I give in and I kind of become small. It's always up to me. And so if I'm really happy and joyful and I'm being silly and all that, and I can see people around me like with a frowny face or thinking like, oh, she must be on drugs or she is weird or something, that's their opinion. And it was really influencing me. I was just talking yesterday with my soul sister that we always think that that's how they think about us, and we take it on that, okay, I shouldn't be my true self because that's disturbing people, or they will not approve of me or appreciate me or something. But this is how we truly are, and this is so important that we let this light shine and really show our joy, because then others can also look at us and see that, okay, I also have this pure inner child and this joy, so how can I reconnect with that? And they can look at it like why they are suppressing it, or why they don't want to connect, or why that makes them sad or disturbed or triggered if they see others being like really high vibe and happy. Because I'm so convinced that that all of us are like this in our true nature. So so I was really, really having this insight and understanding that this is this is my medicine to myself and to my environment, that I can always just be joyful and high vibe, and laughter is the biggest medicine, because I was doing a lot of shadow work before and going into the pain, and that had its time as well, and that also has its own insights and everything. But now I could just feel that laughter, because I could not stop laughing, that laughter heals me like nothing else does. And that was so liberating. And just coming back to your question of why I also wanted to go on this journey, because I kept getting messages from life that I dealt enough with the past and with the shadows and triggers and trauma. That's just leave that behind. It's out of your system now, and now just get on with your mission, and be happy. Allow yourself to be happy and truly go into this joy. And before, I was also told that, oh, your gift is to see the beauty and the light and childlike purity in everyone and everything. I was like, yeah, I totally get that now.
Did you see that in ayahuasca? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. In this journey, I was like, I really understood like why that was channeled to me before, or why I got this message from different people and from life, that this is what you're here for, to shine your light and to really be happy and see that happiness in others too, and kind of have this contagious smile, so others can also kind of join you in this happiness that we truly really are. So that was so fantastic, that I can just keep on staying in this vibration and fully allow myself to go into the joy. And it's always my choice if I allow my fears to kind of engulf me or just expand back. And I thought, okay, I will go and pee, because it's so funny to have a body. And as we were walking out of the bathrooms through the kitchen, I thought it was so hilarious that I had legs and arms and everything, that I kind of just dropped down to the kitchen floor. And again, I was just laughing so much, because another really important insight I got is that I'm always at home within myself when I connect with this joy that I am and that we are. So I felt like so safe and free within myself. And because it was always troubling me, like, where should I be? Should I be in Denmark or Bali or Hungary, or where should I go in this world? And I understood that it doesn't matter where I am, as long as I'm really staying true to my own heart, which is like this lighthouse that wants to just shine all the time. So that was another big revelation, that, hey, I'm sitting on this kitchen floor in Denmark at the moment, but it doesn't matter, because I'm just so happy and I feel so safe within. So that was fantastic again.
I want to say something.
Yeah,
this is
please.
what happened in my last ayahuasca experience. I was laying there after this complete bliss, being off in the universe and seeing like at some point I was seeing these light, the dark background and little dots, and I was like, kind of like what you see when you close your eyes, this little, and then I started just noticing those dots. The more I started noticing, it started getting brighter. And then all of a sudden, it was like flat, and then it started getting a little brighter, the dots, but the background was flat. Everything was flat. And then all of a sudden, everything became three-dimensional.
Right.
All of a sudden, there was space, in between the dots. And the dots became, all of a sudden, the dots weren't dots, they were planets.
Yes.
And I was out in the universe all of a sudden.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And so, what's my point? So at some point, sitting in the bliss, because there was more that showed up there. I was sitting there with my eyes open after the experience was over, and what came to me was brave new explorations. And I was like, because when I had gone in there with the idea that I wanted to change the name.
Oh,
And
cool.
so but I didn't think about it at all while I was in my experience, but that came to me, and it came to me so hard. It was like, this
Awesome.
is the name,
Right.
because this is the experience.
Yeah.
The experience is, you have to be brave.
Yeah.
When if you're going to shine your light,
Oh, yeah, for sure. You
if you're
have
going
to
to
be.
be who you really are and be true to that, you're going to have to be courageous,
Oh, yes.
for yourself,
Yes. Yes.
to express yourself in
Yes.
situations where it's not okay, you know?
Yeah, and that's why this experience is so important for us, right? When we kind of see that in a perspective of, I still have to kind of, this is the service I'm doing here for myself and for the others and for this planet. And so I don't have to be afraid. And I mean, these fears will not hurt me as long as I'm shining my light. So we get to understand that in this inner journey. So it was.
Yeah, this is another thing I wanted to highlight from what
Mhm.
you said was, yeah, you've done a lot of shadow work, and I've done shadow work. Been doing a lot of work on ourselves,
Right.
and looking deeply. And but what I noticed under ayahuasca is, yes, uh, you still went deep. At some point, when you noticed that
Right.
your thinking went one
Oh, yeah.
way, the shadow got bigger.
Oh, absolutely. And
You
I
know,
will share more later on how I saw the shadows
uh,
still.
yeah. So I want to highlight that, because one of the things about it is that what I saw in my experience was to remind people to have this conversation be louder from
Right.
me to
Hmm.
people, that don't be afraid of that stuff, that darkness.
Right.
You really want to, like, you really want to experience it. You want to say, what's happening? What is it talking to me? What's it trying to
Exactly.
communicate to me? Why is it always presenting itself to me? Why is it growing and getting
Yeah.
bigger, and it
Yeah.
wants me to pay attention?
Exactly.
And so that's what you did. You looked at it and you were like, what is this? And
Yes. Yes. And I was a little. It's so true because these fears and shadows and darkness is also there to watch you shine your light and to always walk into your true essence. But as I was taken back from the bathroom and the kitchen to the round hall where we had the other travelers, I felt like I'm swimming in an ocean with dolphins, and I felt like fairy energy, and I was again like so freaking happy. And then at some point, like I could not stop laughing, and my facilitator friend like laid me down on the mattress and covered me in a blanket, and it just was like, I have to be free and I have to roll around on the mattress, and I just could not stop laughing. And eventually they had to take me to another room to be on my own. And I thought that was hilarious because we talked about it, that if somebody needs to scream or shout,
mm,
then they will be taken to another room so that they can go into the process. And I thought it was the funniest thing that I had to be taken out from the main hall because I just had to laugh so much. And later in the circle they shared that they actually loved it, that I just was just giggling and giggling, but they took it to the other room. And um, and I just kept being so happy. But the music was so powerful, and like these drums, and it was
mhm.
calling me deep.
Did they
And
have live music, by the way?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
they play amazing live
Okay.
music
All
there.
right.
Yes, it was fantastic. And so this music was like really like these drums, and like as if Native Americans were playing around the fire, and it was really
Mm,
calling me.
mm,
And so one of the facilitators who I really trusted and connected well with, she stayed with me there, and I was like, I feel I'm being pulled into this, that I have to go deeper. And so the shadows were around me again. I could see like reptilians and dragons and the creatures of this realm, and they were there watching me. And I was like, I can do this. I can rebirth myself. I can be here for the collective and for this planet. I'm strong enough. It was my choice to do this and to come here and to really see my own light, and see how these shadows are around me watching me if I really stay true to myself. So it was a roller coaster for me as well. I did go into some shadows and pain, but I stayed still very confident that I can do this. It's okay. It's fine because I know who I am. I know that I can always reconnect with this joy and light that is inside of my heart. So it's my decision. It's my choice if I want to feel this pain.
That sounds like
feel
that's something that you were surprised by, or were you surprised that you were there?
It's interesting because I kind of always knew who I am. Not always, but I got a lot of messages.
You had a sense of it.
I knew who I am and what I'm here to do, but this was such a condensed, powerful, intense reminder of, girl, if you didn't get it so far, then this is who you are and that's your mission. So
let's just underline that.
Exactly. Before I go back to Bali, here you go. So just be reminded of that, and I was really grateful for it. That it's always my choice, and I was crying and laughing, and I was also very surprised how it's a thin line for me between those two, and I can decide and I can cry and laugh at the same time. So it's my choice if I want to feel the pain and hold space for others, or relating to what you said about the planets and the stars, what I felt is that that we are not just from the stars, but we are the stars. We are these angels on earth with our joy and light, and we are here for Gaia, our sister, Mother Earth, that we remind each other how to come home to source, to this light and to this bliss and pure happiness. So it felt like that, we are from the stars, and at the same time we are the stars, and she is our sister Gaia, and we are here for her. And so that was like a transpersonal message that was coming through, that we are so much bigger than how we kind of funnily play small here, but it's really just up to us if we want to stay in our actual expansive field, or I can play small, but why? I don't need to.
Well, it's hard to play small when you know there's something
exactly
bigger, when you know that who you are is really not encapsulated.
Yes.
Really that who you are is everything.
It's incredible. Please go and try and feel it for yourself, because it's wonderful.
Well, ayahuasca is great, and ayahuasca is great especially if you're prepared to do it. One thing is to trust the ride you're going to be given. That's a big thing.
Yeah, but there are so many other ways to access this consciousness level and this state, because I have never taken psychedelics before. I have never even smoked weed, so this was my very first time with psychedelics. But I have seen a lot of images. I got a lot of downloads before.
Say a little bit more about downloads.
Yeah, it's when you just kind of have this knowing of who you are and what you are here to do, and
so you felt like you got some downloads under ayahuasca?
I really got confirmation of who I am and what I'm here to do, and my higher self was really talking to me a lot. I kind of channeled my higher self to my human self. She was talking like, Liya, every time you go into fears, just dance and laugh and play and be joyful, reconnect with who you truly are, and get on your mission and write and share your experiences and just be happy. And if anyone comes up to you and asks you why are you always so happy, then just share with them your journey, how you reconnected with your true essence. So this was really a big reminder for me. But at the same time, I have experienced before, when I did breath work, for example, that's a very natural way to access the DMT in our brain. Just breathing, let's say 45 minutes in and out through the mouth, and you really get into this state of consciousness when you reconnect with yourself, and you really get messages of what could be your next best step in your journey, so that you really live your highest potential and your grandest version and vision of yourself. So I had that before also when you are in places like Bali or really high energy places, and you really detox your body, and you work through your emotions and everything that is kind of blocking this clear channel what we are, then I connected with my spirit guides before and with my higher self. So there are many ways to go about it, but this was this plant medicine is just really shooting you right
It
there.
goes
When
direct, direct
it's like,
access.
oh wow, okay, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
You know, have you ever seen the Matrix film?
yeah, sure.
Okay, you know, some things are starting to come up, you know, like the download, right?
Right.
You know, like where information, now I know karate, you know, all of a sudden you just know.
Yes.
You just
That's
know.
a good way to
You get the
describe
information, you
download.
know the information as you've gotten it. Like during my last experience, it's really going through the pain. Like you know, my wife said to me, "You're not going deep enough," and I'm always like, "Believe me, I am." But you know, but I said this last, you know, each time I've done it, I've thought, okay, let's take a look, let's see, maybe there's deeper levels. You know, probably are, you know, because they're invisible. So anyway, what's my point? Downloads. You know. Now I have another point that I want to say, because there are people. Hopefully, there are going to be lots of people watching these videos. I hope there will. Why? Not because of me, because I really don't care about me. Actually, what I care about is that whoever I'm talking to, whatever the message that gets out, somehow hits a spark in you, and that whatever you saw was true for yourself at some point, you know, becomes alive, and you start doing what you need to do. You know, meet the people you need to meet, take actions, you know, even though you're fearful. That's why the name Brave New Exploration, because you're going on an exploration. You're not going where you've already gone before.
Right.
You're going somewhere that's not known to you. And, you know, when you start to express yourself fully, like you saw in your vision, when you start to express yourself fully, you will notice that you have to become brave.
Absolutely.
That what's there is those fears and those things that want us, that are sitting there going, you gonna pay attention to me now? Come on, pay attention to me. And they'll be sitting right in front of your face, going, now here's you wanting to express, now here's your fear. You know, which one?
True.
Choose. You know, so I want to highlight that, because who cares if you're doing ayahuasca, or who cares if you're doing breath work, who cares what you're doing? The point is, it's a vehicle. It's a vehicle to what? To who you already are. Like my biggest thing is, my biggest joy now, you know, and has been for the last, I don't know how many years, where it's started expanding, being with people, has been this joy in realizing that I'm connected to everyone. Like there's no separation between you and me, you know, and I don't have to be anything bigger or better or anything that I was trying to be before, trying to make up for not being good enough, you know, like I'm actually connected to everything.
Totally.
So I don't need to do anything. Now I'm with you, and I'm like,
Yeah.
who are you? You know, what's going on with you?
You're
You know,
both so
I'm like,
happy.
yeah, wow, you know. And the you who you are is magnificent. And if you don't get it, this is what makes my heart feel sad when I feel sad, is to get that you are so fantastic and huge.
So magnificent.
And that if you don't know that, if you're not in touch with that, I want you to get in touch with that.
Yeah, please.
So listen to us, not like, oh, they could do it, but I can't, you know, because maybe where you're at right now is in one of those spaces where you need some light. And you probably turned into this channel, you know, because you were guided to get that light. You know, there's no accident. So listen to us not as the people that are talking, but listen to us as a part of you that's speaking to you.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly. Yeah, reconnect with yourself, and you will also find your soul family. I was also really reminded, like, who are my very important soul family connections, and how we could work together and hold each other's hands. And I was like, I want to have another interview with Dean now, because we would love to talk about this inner journey and happy stuff and galactic connections and everything. So I was reminded by my higher self as well, like, stay true to yourself, shine your life. You will find your team, the people you will work together with, you will not have to be alone on this journey. On the contrary, there will be so many others supporting you and really cheering you on. So whenever there are some people out there who don't get it quite yet, like what is this bliss or what, or I don't quite understand yet, you can be with your team and really encourage and cheer them on that go and discover it for yourself. Yeah, feel who
what
you
is your
are.
team, so that is another thing. My wife and I for a while have been being very conscious of who we hang out with.
Right.
Not because people aren't great. People are fantastic. If it were up to me, I'd be hanging out with everybody all the time. So it's not about whether people are good or bad or not good enough for us. It's just that we have to manage the energy we have.
Right.
Everything is energy. Everything's a conversation talking to you. Like like when you saw the different fears and things,
Right.
they're wanting to communicate with you. You can use them, by the way. So you don't have to
Absolutely.
run away from them.
No.
They're actually, like what I could see from your
Totally
vision,
there to
they're
help.
actually coming up. Like if you like to look at your telephone's icons and see what they do, they're like icons coming up on your screen.
Exactly.
And they're saying choose. And you're going, as soon as you start focusing on one thing, it expands. It fills the
Exactly.
screen of your consciousness, and it becomes the world you're living in. So if you want to live in a world where you're disempowered, where you're not your best self and you know it, maybe you do. I mean, the thing is, when we're finally done with it, we won't choose it anymore. We'll be looking around for friends, for people, for conversations that are talking about something that is not the hole we've dug ourselves into.
Exactly.
Because we know now, we've dug and we keep digging in that hole. We realize that that's a hole.
Yeah. So turn around and go back to light.
Yeah. At some point, it gets really dark in that hole. You've really dug one, and it's
exactly.
deep.
It's like, I think I'm just gonna back to light and pure joy.
Yeah, I think I have distinguished what a hole looks like.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, yeah.
Now
So
that we are sitting here together, like it's so joyful, like we are smiling and the energy is just expanding and there is this beautiful, colorful
I know,
art
it's so
behind us. So
lovely.
it's just like a bubble of bliss we are in right now.
a bubble of bliss. I like that.
You said
The
it.
bubble of bliss. I think we need to title this, if we can remember, The Bubble of Bliss.
Okay, yeah, that could totally be the title of this specific conversation. Because another important insight for me was that I kind of knew that I was a sensitive being and person, picking up on vibes from other people, and so if they touch me physically or they are going through something around me, I really kind of tune into that.
Yeah.
And in this experience, it was really magnified. I was like, holy shit. Like, if somebody touched me, I was like, really like, whoa.
Yeah.
And if I was alone in the other room, and then another traveler was brought in, and I was so connected to her. She was my sister. I really feel the connection with her before we even went into this journey. And I was so tuned into what was going on with her as well. And I realized that it really influences and affects me a lot, my environment and the people around me. So just like what you say, like
yeah.
who you surround yourself with. So that's again can kind of pull me in the direction of going into pain or just kind of pleasing others, because if I feel what they want from me or they are in their own fears and I let that influence me, again I was really reminded that yes, we are very sensitive beings, we really are one with each other, and we always have this dance and this fluid dynamic between us. So it's always my choice if I kind of want to go into that with others or be touched, or just stay in my core and also spend time alone in nature, so that I can just have the messages from my higher self coming through that are important for me about my life and path, and also worthwhile to share with others as well. So that was another very, very interesting and important insight I got, and also how I felt my sisters and brothers, because that's how I feel like calling them. I really felt so connected to many of them, and I could feel that there's so many beautiful souls here on this planet now, and we are all doing the work. Like how this soul sister of mine was coming to the same room, and she was healing her connection with her mom. And I could feel that, wow, she's also really doing the work for herself and for the collective and for Gaia. And there are really so many of us here, like these really beautiful beings who are here to support each other and help others to remember like that we really truly are such joy in our true essence. So I totally loved having that insight as well.
Yeah, there's so much. It's so rich.
Yeah, totally.
It's so rich. You know, I'm just thinking, who could be listening? You know, all of us are dealing with things in life. You know, it's not like when I was speaking to my wife, we were talking about how that you never know what path someone is on. You can never really tell what is being transformed within another human being. You know, you may be going through some pain, you may be going through some doubt, you may have been going through it for a period of time, you know, and one of the problems that happens with human beings, all of us, you know, is that we make ourselves wrong for going through that. Like, you know, like, and it seems like the more we try to avoid the pain, the more pain we feel, you know. It's just natural, you know, we just do that. It's okay, you know. The most advanced people do that. Totally. Most advanced people have stuff happening in their lives, you know. Things just aren't working out exactly as we planned. And the deal is that's the deal. You're not here to work out a plan. You know, that's not what you're here for. That's what your identity got created for. You better figure it out or you're going to die. Well, guess what? You're going to die anyway. Guess what? That's the bad news, but it's also the good news. Listen, we're bigger than these bodies here.
Yeah, it's only your physical body that will die, but we totally live on.
Yeah, and I know you might like this body. You know, you might say it's lovely. I love my body. I'm so happy. Oh, I love my arm. They're going to take my arm. No! We have so much attachment to the way things look. And this is the point is, you know, really that the joy is when you give up, when you can actually just give up and let things, like, be with those things you can't be with. Like, what does that mean? My wife is yelling at me, right? She's yelling at me and I'm just noticing it. Because normally I'm reacting, you know. Normally I would react to it and try to talk to it. My wife is lovely, by the way.
She is wonderful.
And she's fantastic. She is a wonderful, incredible human being, really full of growth and lots of insight.
Oh,
so
she has so much depth.
So when I when I tell you, you know, these things, it's not like my wife is bad. No, but my wife represents the pain that I never got through. So, you know, when she does, you know, and, you know, it's like when my parents looked at me with that face or they yelled at me or whatever, you know, I learned how to be a certain way around that, try to avoid it, try to make it wrong. So, you know, no matter how advanced you are or think you are, you will deal with the shadow. You will deal with the stuff you haven't dealt with. It will just keep presenting itself. So, you know, you want to learn the lesson. You want to actually get with the real lesson that it's trying to give you. You know, what I'm going through now is that these pains are showing me so much. I'm getting so much value from it because I'm not hiding from them. I'm actually allowing myself to be in the pain of it and not do anything. Like, just be with it. And what I started noticing was, first of all, energy. Like, you know, because normally I'm in my head thinking about it, you know, so I'm not paying attention to what's happening in my body or what's going around me. Before I got hooked, you know, my wife was, you know, passionate about something, you know, she was talking about. And I noticed that I was like, I don't really want to hear it, you know. But I was like, okay, just be with it. I could just feel this energy going around my solar plexus. Yeah. And I used to, people talked about it before, you know. Yeah. But I could feel it, and it was like this. I could feel it, and in one of my ayahuasca experience, I was encased in this energy, and it was coming down on me, and I felt trapped. like I got to get out of this. I got to get out. It was so intense, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew what it was. It was all those negative forms of energy that maybe I have put out that I'm attracting to me.
Yeah.
Just and I wanted to go through that experience because I wanted to see if I could be with it.
Oh, right.
Oh my God, man.
You
But
could, you really
I could be with it actually, but I realized I didn't have to.
That's
That
the
was
thing.
the point.
Yes, isn't
It was like, guess what? You can be with it. And I was like, yeah, but I'm tough. I couldn't really be with it. I got to show my wife that I can be with it, right? So, okay, what I learned from that experience was that just like with you is that all the negativity, all the creations that I put out there, fears, worries, all that energy is out there dancing around me. And it's wanting attention.
Yeah.
It's always coming up and going, you want some of this?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, are you tough enough to handle this?
I'm shining my light.
Yeah, and then you're like, and I'm going, yeah. I think wait a minute. The shaman said to ask whether or not this has anything to do with your mission.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked it, do you have anything to do with my mission? And then it disappeared.
Wow, so cool.
It disappeared.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, aha. At the insight I got from that was a lot of times in life I take on stuff because I think I have to. Because I think I'm tough or I'm strong or I can deal with that. But no, not necessarily. Maybe it's just a distraction.
Absolutely. That's so true. I wanted to get back to that as well, what you said, that the shadows are around you to really help you to stay focused on your mission and not get distracted. I had the same feeling as well, that hey, you guys, you cannot really affect me if I don't allow you, if I don't give my power away to you to kind of engulf me and grow over me and distract me.
Yeah, and how do you give your power? Because see, that when I hear that, I know what it means, but you know, like I always call it, a victim says, you know, I gave. No, the victim would not say I gave my power away. The victim would say they took my power.
Oh, right, yeah.
But it's like how?
Yeah, it's that you give focus to that. And you let yourself be sidetracked. Like it's trying to get your attention and it's trying to kind of take you on a detour or something. And I'm
enticing.
Like, wait. I'm on a mission here, so I'm back shining
talk to
my
the
light.
hand.
Yeah, exactly. And then the fear's like, oh, okay, I guess I'm leaving. And I'm so small. Bye.
Bye.
Like,
I'm shrinking. I'm shrinking.
Exactly, shrinking.
You know, in an energy sense, you know, my wife talks about that a lot, and I'm now starting to talk a little bit about it because I talk from another angle. But from an energy sense, you have energy. You're either getting it from the source or you're stealing it from other people.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And when you're cut off from your source, like how can you be cut off from the source? It's just basically not honoring who you really are. When you have your attention on, you know, some, you know, that piece of cake, you know, or, you know, sex, or, you know, or that cigarette, or we're not making any of those things wrong, you know. That's just, but when our attention is always going to be drawn to these things, whatever they are. The fight, if you're like Bruce Lee, you know, or if you're Billy Badass, somebody who's trained themselves to fight, well, you're always on the lookout for that possibility.
Yeah.
So, you know, it comes back to awareness.
Totally. If you give space to those distractions, then they will pull you away from your focus and from your own light and essence and missions and all that. So
yeah, they grow. You give them your energy,
exactly.
they grow. And they start to fill up your whole screen, and you're too busy, like you don't see anything else, so your whole screen is filled up.
Yeah.
You're like, oh God, and it looks nasty. I need to handle that. What if you could just not work on that?
And just like you mentioned, you felt this energy in your solar plexus, and I also felt it in my heart space. Whenever I gave my, I gave my focus and attention and power away, and these fears were growing, I had to feel the pain in my heart of kind of separating from my higher self and from my true core. So then I was also like, I even had these physical symptoms that I had to cough up this grief from my lung and from my throat.
Did you do that?
Yeah, totally.
Good.
Yeah,
Did you get rid of it?
When I was coughing and I was blowing my nose. It's because like I understand that now I don't allow myself to be joyful. I don't allow myself to talk and to shine my light. I decided to become small, and that's the pain of separation from my higher
The pain
self.
of separation.
And I could really
Yeah.
feel the pain moving in my heart space, and I was like, oh, I feel it. And then I had to really cough and like let go of this pain. And then I was like back again with my core, like really connected, like it is my choice to come back to my essence and to shine my light and stay on course. My higher self was talking to me, Liya, stay on course, be in your joy, shine your light, share your experiences, write about it, connect with your soul family, go and be in nature, sometimes be on your own. I will be there with you. I am your higher self. I am your light. I am your heart. So you are not totally alone, but sometimes give yourself that space and time when you can just really reconnect with yourself, because there is so much distraction in the world. Not just other people, but all these duties and responsibilities
TV
and this and that
and advertising.
yeah, and then let me eat
Friends.
this crappy food that I know is not so good for me, but
it tastes
I want to
good.
be miserable now.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm like, nope. Like also when I'm so detoxed, I can feel how food is also affecting me if I'm eating this living high vibrational vegetables and fruit, or if I'm just eating something dense and just not healthy, then I'm going like sad and
But
heavy.
this is really good. You know, the thing is you have to trust. At some point, this is where the bravery comes in. You have to trust that if you're going to take a journey somewhere where you just don't quite believe, like you may be listening to somebody talking about going through detox or whatever, you're like, why would I want to do that? Well, the thing is, you wouldn't want to do that. And that's, you could just say that where you're at right now is where you pretty much are most of the time. I mean, no, sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad, sometimes, so I'm not saying that, but I'm saying there's a dominant way of being in life. And that dominant way of being is there from all the things you do and think.
Yeah.
So if you don't do anything outside of that or think any other ways outside of that, and I mean continuously, because, I could focus on this little joyful picture here for a minute and I'm happy. Woo, look at that, man. It's so cool, The colors are cool and there's this cat and there's a bird, and it's a little
It's a
stuff.
squirrel.
I mean, it's so simple, but it's got so much in it. And the more I go into it, the more alive I am, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's how it is. The more you go into something, the more it takes up your screen of attention, your awareness. The more it fills you. And it's like going down a path into a different world.
Absolutely.
It takes you down a different path. It gives you other possibilities that you couldn't see until you went down there. So you actually have to maybe, try on some things for a period of time. Exactly. Listen to what people said. I started doing yoga about 6 months ago, regularly. It was something on my to-do list for a long time, and then one day my wife said, hey, there's an introduction. Shouldn't we go? I was like, yes. And then when we did it, but I'm telling you, why do you do it? Last night I was joking with her. I said, it's kind of like torture. It's like, existential torture. But it's amazing. I'm loving it because you're doing these stretches, you're doing these bends. They've been doing these for thousands of years. You think, how did they ever get around to bending themselves like a pretzel and thinking that was somehow enlightening, right? But the thing is you push yourself beyond your comfort zone. You find yourself moving in areas that you've never moved before. And in the beginning, it may seem impossible, maybe even crazy that you're doing it. But you have to go through it, allow yourself to trust the process and give it some time. Whatever it is that you're doing, if you want to have something beyond what you're already getting, take on that thing you've been thinking about taking on.
Yeah, that's a very good advice. I always feel so light and relaxed after yoga classes, isn't it? That, it's so good for the body to get these stretches and let the tension out from our bodies. It's very important to take care of the body, and after that, I always feel so much relief and lightness. It's like, okay, I did something good for myself. So just like you say, like, observe what's bringing you joy and what's making you feel better. If that's cooking, getting together with friends, biking outside in nature, going for ecstatic dance, yoga class, what brings you joy, and And you
what
can
makes you connected,
yeah.
have that sense of being who, a deeper who you are,
Yes.
that who you are, that's at peace, that needs no answer.
Yeah. And then you will also find your calling in that. So if you are on this crossroads now in your life, or you are still trying to discover, like, okay, what am I here to do? What's my purpose? What's my calling? Just really take good care of your body, your emotions, take care of yourself mentally, physically, in every way. And then these messages will also come through
Reveal
more easily
themselves. Yeah.
of who you are and what you are here to do.
So it's very
Yeah.
simple. Let's just take, something you said I want to highlight. There's simple things, right? First, you can look at the body. The body is affecting the mind, and the mind is affecting the body.
Totally.
And it's all energy, no matter how you cut it. Everything is energy. So you may say to yourself, well, I don't know if I want to do yoga, and I don't know if I want to do all these other things. No, but maybe, are you getting enough sleep? That's,
Right.
that's one simple thing. Are you giving yourself time in the morning instead of rushing up in the morning, and, by the alarm clock? Are you giving yourself time to actually wake up? And without any distractions, picking up the telephone and staring at it and looking through the, because they're all conversations. They're like these things that she was talking about, these, things wanting your attention.
Yes.
And they're going to direct you. So you want to bring some awareness to what you're doing. That's all. In the beginning, doing something new is difficult. It's easier to be in a rut.
But at the same time, it will feel so good and natural and organic, because your heart is always trying to communicate with you that actually it would be good for you to do this. So that's why you have this feeling that I feel like going for yoga. I feel like hanging out with my friends and just have a lot of laughter. And I feel like being silly and fooling around and go to the zoo and pet some animals. Like your heart will call you to do those things that are really good for your spirit and your being.
Yes, and this, something you're saying is, we talked about many things. One is, you're talking about experiences. You're talking about getting out, being with others, sharing.
Or
There's a
going
lot of
within.
that. Yeah, or when you go within, that's another part of it. So like, in yoga and meditation and things like that, is to get you to get used to being with you.
Yes.
Like, how can you be with who you are if you're so busy with a million distractions? I know, I was so happy when I got an iPhone. I was so happy way back when an iPhone was invented, because I could carry my distractions around with me everywhere I went. And I could always sum up new distractions anytime I wanted. So I was in heaven, believe me. It took me a while to start letting it be,
Right.
not having to pay any
Yes.
attention to it.
Yes.
So going within is kind of like that too. You just have to get used to, well, what's happening inside of me. What happens if I pay more attention? Well, guess what? Just like we said, anything you pay attention to, it expands.
Absolutely.
Your awareness, because the awareness of who you are as this space of not that. I'm not my body. I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my name. I'm not, the job I have. I'm none of those things. So who am I? And getting aware of that. The more you get aware and at home with that, the more that becomes what you honor.
Yes.
And that's where your happiness and joy, is coming from. So,
Totally.
moments where you feel totally happy and in the zone, that's when you're connected with that, that zone feeling and that happiness feeling. Oh, guess what? You are now connected with who you really are. So anything that you notice is bringing you there. The pain can bring you there too, by the way. The pain can bring you there.
Absolutely.
It doesn't mean you have to search out the pain, but when it presents itself, know that it's the teacher.
Absolutely.
You said, I want, like you may be going around with a question in your head, like why is it that I'm always having it problem, with this? Why does this problem keep coming up, right? And then all of a sudden some pain, slaps you in the face.
Yes.
Well, guess what? Pay attention, because you called for that pain. You asked for it to come and tell you the answer. But the answer lies in paying attention to the pain.
Exactly. Pay attention, integrate now. That's what pain stands for, right? Yes.
That is nice. I wish I would have thought of that.
I also heard it.
Pay attention, integrate now. I love that. Well, did you make that up?
No, it's not mine.
No,
No,
okay.
I also heard from others, but that's very true. So I also, when I was disconnected from myself, I felt the pain of that. So I went into it. I was really there with it, and then I found myself on the other side of this tunnel, again connected with myself first and foremost, and feeling so much peace.
Now, what example?
What
Of that.
example?
Yeah, because that's after you got it, then that's the.
Now
But what
in the
happened?
now in the journey,
Yeah.
it happened when I didn't allow myself to laugh and talk, even if I really wanted to,
Yeah.
and I felt the pain of that, and then I had to let go of that, and I again started laughing, and I'm like, that's just me.
So
or not
I'm
so
sorry, I
long-
just want
yeah.
to interrupt because this is the process that I want to give away to everyone. The thing is you first started noticing
Yes.
the moment where you started cutting off being authentic.
Yes.
We call it being authentic. Being what was really there for you is express yourself, right?
Exactly.
And
To
then
allow myself
and then
to
you
talk
saw
about
yourself thinking about
that I should not, because what if I'm distracting and disturbing others, and I was going into worries and anxieties, and like,
Yeah.
hey, wait a second.
yeah. So as soon as you started questioning
Exactly.
expressing, so this is the second thought. We have this, we have this way we want to be in life,
Yeah.
and it's just there. And then
Yeah.
we have a thought about it.
Yes.
And that thought usually isn't a good thought. It's usually about how you shouldn't be that way.
That's the thought is also challenging you, and so can you stay strong in who you are? So the thoughts and the shadows and the fears are all like, are you really strong enough to stay with your core? And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the fears and the stuff you were saying that are all around you. They're going, So you want to be whatever it is.
I'm
You might
shining
be
my
sitting there
light.
going, I want to be happy, right? And you're like, okay, so guess what's going to pop up for you?
Yeah, you will get challenges. You might see someone making this kind of face, and you will like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be happy because they don't want me, or something.
Or I
It's
can't
like,
be happy because so and so's yelling at me.
yeah, and somebody is not happy, so it's not fair for me to be happy. But does it help them if you dim your own light and you go into sadness? Then they are sad, and you are sad, and everybody is sad. But what if you keep laughing and being joyful, and then at some point they are like, oh, maybe I could start smiling too? Or just look at why I'm still being sad and just move through that and start laughing with you and find like home to my joyful essence. So
Or you
this
could
is
even
what I-
ask yourself if you notice that you have a hard time getting out of it.
Yeah,
Like you have an attachment to being sad.
exactly. So how does
you're
that
getting
serve you?
fed. Somehow you're getting a meal. Like if you were a hungry thing, sadness is somehow fulfilling a need inside of you.
Yeah,
So you might ask yourself, what am I getting out of this?
yeah.
And
yeah.
then, is it worth what I'm actually losing?
Yes.
Because, it's hard to be happy and sad at the same time.
So what's on the other side of this sadness? Like maybe it's just maybe you are holding onto it, and it's holding onto you because you don't feel you have the courage yet to step outside of your comfort zone, as they say, and like start this journey of who I am and what I'm here to do. But there's so much value and fulfillment and joy and magic on that when you step beyond these fears, and you let them shrink, and
So
just
that is exactly the thing. So once again, I'm plotting in brave new exploration.
Absolutely.
Why? Because in those moments, your identity always wants to know. It always is trying to do everything to figure out what's going to happen so it can protect itself. That's what its job is. So what's comfortable, what's known is what you're going to continue to do.
And also, guess what? Also, in this experience, when I still decided it's my choice to be happy, that's who I truly want to be, and I want to talk and laugh and all that. And then in the sharing circle, I just shared it really confidently that that's how I felt like being, and I didn't want to just shut myself down. And so many people in the sharing circle, like everyone actually said that it was so good that you were giggling. It really reminded us also to be joyful and happy whatever journey we were on. And it was so powerful when you shared it, and the whole room was just lighting up with all these people really smiling and being joyful. Like even the facilitator said that, oh, this group is like totally happy. Like everybody had a great experience, and we were all like having this attitude of this is gonna be pure magic and fun and laughter and joy, and let's just allow ourselves to be who we truly are. And when I believe in myself and I allow myself to be who I am, that's the reflection also what I'm gonna get from others, that yeah, we're cheering you on. Thank you for also reminding us to be that way and liberating us that we can also laugh and move around and all that.
Which is so important because in a lot of times we are judging ourselves. We're judging ourselves on, oh, you better not laugh. You know, it's so deep. Where'd that come from? You know, you better not smile because, okay, your teeth are crooked. Oh, better not get on camera because your skin isn't perfect, you know, and, you know, or less than, you know, don't express yourself in some kind of way that would actually be joyful, but there's pain associated with it too. You know, like, hey, when was the last time you experienced pain from expressing yourself? Really take a look at that. How far back does that go? Really get in touch with that. Because to really have a joyful life, you know, there's going to be pain.
And I'm pretty sure that I'm going to go into some challenges as well. I'm still a really high vibe, and I will keep staying in there as good as I can. But I'm sure that there's some shadows and some fears will not come and knock on my door again. Like, hey, are you staying strong enough?
Yeah. Are you sure you want to be happy? Are you sure? Are you sure?
And I will be like, yeah.
Yeah, well, okay, we have something for you. How about this? And you've got to deal with whatever that is. Like, you know, what I've seen with my transformation is, boy, I'm the most transformed guy you could ever meet. But man, if something comes up in my face, you know, and is aggressive in some kind of way or some kind of, you know, or, you know, guess who's not very transformed? So the point about it is it's great because that is the opportunity, you know.
Exactly.
What I recently discovered from these experiences with ayahuasca also, and just how it enhances everything I'm doing, is that the lesson is only that, you know, like it came to me. The master is always there when the student is ready. Now, guess what? The master, you think you know what the master should look like, you know? It's master's going to be like, you know, having this beard or whatever picture you have, and come and be really like, yes. But you know what? Maybe the master is that nasty thing that's standing up in your face, that nasty slap in your face, like something really, really like you couldn't imagine happening. That is the master that you asked for. Now, I wouldn't advise waiting until that master comes along to start getting the message. But for some of us, we need it. We wait around because we get so many small messages and we try to ignore them.
Right.
So they just get louder. And one day the message is some big slap in the face that you can't avoid.
Or a beautiful kick in your butt
Yeah.
like I got now.
Yeah, or in the front part of that. Rhymes with butt.
and then again there you have a choice, because this shadow or this fear is trying to show you something to guide you back to your essence and the love and the light and the joy, or you can just, oh, it's coming, I'm not gonna pay attention.
Yeah,
you have
I'm gonna
fun
avoid it.
without
Matter
me.
of fact, I'm gonna fight it.
Mission.
I'm gonna be, you know, go back to the Matrix. I'm gonna be Neo, and instead of me fighting one Smith or one person and winning, now I got in the end of the, you know, middle of the movie, right? He's fighting with 1 million of them.
Right.
And guess what? He's winning. He's beating them all. But guess what? His life is all about fighting. You know, so, you know, we can be fighting all the things that are coming at us, and we can use up our life in that game.
Right.
You know, or we could just get the message.
Or then be just calm and peaceful and joyful, and it's like how he was also fighting with Smith, like,
Yeah.
in the end.
Yeah, in the end it was just
whatever.
like
Can just be in my soul here, and then all these agents and fears were just totally losing power over him, because like, whatever. I'm just gonna be in my place here.
Yeah, no, that may seem crazy and it may seem like a film, but you know, the true reality of it is, which always blows me away, and that's why I'm talking to people as much as I can and trying to share it, is that this isn't just fiction. It's not like, you know, you can alter the world around you just by altering your consciousness, your awareness.
Totally.
I mean,
What
you know,
focus on.
there was, just an experience. One time my kid was, I was in the house and he was out on the playground. He was like 8, 9 years old, I think. And I heard him getting really loud, and then I heard some bigger guys out there yelling. And then I heard him yelling back, and I was like, uh-oh, what's going on? So I was aware of, okay, Daddy Badass had to now come out. I was like, what's going on? Some big kids are telling me they're going to beat me up. And I was like, uh-oh. So I come running down the stairs, right? I get out there. Now, I'm not enlightened at this point. I'm like, nobody's going to hurt my son, And I get out there, and all these guys, they're like, I don't know, they're not teenagers, they're big, they're on their cell phones, and they're looking all like this, they're calling people. I'm like, what's they're doing? I'm going up, and I'm going to find out what's going on here, right? Next thing I know, I see a whole bunch of guys pile out of a house. One guy comes out with a pipe. They're all coming at me, yelling at me. But the thing is this is how this stuff works. I was aware that you have to be aware that you're causing events to happen just by your consciousness. I was ready to fight.
Yeah, if you go with that attitude that I'm going to fight these guys, then
I'm
of
going
course
to
they are also
nobody's
for the battle.
Yeah. And I couldn't understand it, right? See, this is the illusion, is that in my mind I couldn't understand. It seemed ridiculous that they were going to beat me up with a pipe, and they were ganging up on me, like one of them could have taken me, but now and I'm looking at them. But because I've done this training, I was also being aware of what I was creating at the same time it was happening. And so I was thinking to myself, well, this is absurd. Nobody's going to hit me. I'm not going to hurt anybody.
Sure.
So then I said, listen, I'm just here to find out what actually happened. And they were like, you, I will take you out. We'll beat you. I'm like, you're going to beat me up because I ask you what's happening? And they're like, yeah. And the other guy was getting a pipe and, running up, and the other guy was holding him back, and there was all kinds of stuff, right? My son had run away a long time ago, right? And so I was like, but I really just want to know what happened. They started to tell me. He started saying, your son, he started calling us, calling us fucker, and started doing this, that, and the other. And pretty soon we were just telling him, you better watch it. And I was like, okay, that I can understand, right? So now I got what was going on, right? And then I looked at my son who was in the distance. I was like, what are you thinking, And I mean, like, you're gonna, and then. But they were still trying to, they were still like gonna do something to me. And then this other guy came out and he stood in front of them, and then he said, "Listen, you don't come up here being aggressive, because these guys, don't come from a background. And I'm like, yes, I understand that. And I said, but I'm not here to be aggressive. I'm here to find out why some big guys are threatening my son, a little guy, my son. That's what I'm here for, So the thing is we all shook hands at some point, and everybody went their own way.